Thank you for watching why professional teams choose JIRA and Bitbucket. In this clip, you'll see some of the questions that were asked and answered during this webinar.
So the first question is, how do you run tests with JIRA and Bitbucket branches? Well, typically what happens is when a developer pushes to a branch or creates a new branch, then their continuous integration server, whether they're using Atlassian Bamboo or something else, will be set up to monitor when that branch is updated. Now this can happen in a couple of ways. Bitbucket Server and Bitbucket Cloud can be configured to send a webhook notification when a branch is updated, and this will trigger the continuous integration build to trigger. Or potentially the CI server might be polling the repository to see when new branches are added or when branches are updated. And then it'll go off and build that code and then lodge a build result back with the Bitbucket server or Bitbucket Cloud instance. And then that build result will be bound to that commit and can be navigated to from the Bitbucket UI. Now, additionally, in Bitbucket Server, there's some cool stuff you can do with that build result. For example, you can block whether that pull request or whether a pull request associated with that commit can be merged based on whether the build is successful or not. And if you're using Atlassian Bamboo, that build status will also be visible inside the JIRA issue related to the commit that's been changed, the commit which has been built. Okay, so our next question is, if I am a current JIRA user, can I import my existing Git repositories into Bitbucket? Yeah, look, at the end of the day, Git is a really nice portable format. It doesn't really matter what you're using to host your Git repositories currently. Importing it into Bitbucket is really just as simple as doing a clone, I think it's with the -- mirror option to get a full copy of your repository from your existing Git host, and then doing a git push -- all into Bitbucket to create that copy. Bitbucket also has specialized importers for a few other different repository hosting solutions. So you can actually literally just put your credentials or the location of your repository, if it's a public repository, into Bitbucket and it'll pull it down for you. Additionally, if you're coming from a version control system that isn't Git, so for example Subversion, then we've got some pretty comprehensive guides on how to migrate to Git and Bitbucket up on our Git microsite at atlassian.com/git. It's got some really nice tutorials for not just migrating, but also getting up and running with Git as a version control system for your team. Okay, so the next question is, does JIRA support deleting feature branches in Bitbucket Server after they are merged? Yes, actually. So regardless of whether you're using Bitbucket Server or Bitbucket Cloud, when you hit the merge button on a pull request, it'll actually come up and give you the option of deleting the branch after that merge has taken place. If you don't delete it at that point, you can either delete them locally and then push a delete to the server. Or alternatively, you can actually go and delete them via both the Bitbucket Server and Bitbucket Cloud user interfaces if you like. Additionally, while we're talking about merging, Bitbucket Server actually supports a couple of different merge strategies for your pull requests as well. So if you want to squash all of the commits on your branch or enforce fast forward only merging for your pull requests, you can do those per repository, or you can configure that per repository or per project for your Bitbucket Server instance. It's actually there's no UI for this feature at the moment, but if you search Bitbucket Server config settings, you'll see that there's a huge set of different properties that you can set per repository or per project that allow you to configure the actual merge strategies used when Bitbucket Server does a merge. So the next question is, can you customize which JIRA issue state to transition to when a branch is updated in Bitbucket? So you might recall earlier in the presentation I had a picture of a JIRA workflow showing kind of or mapping a set of issue states and transitions that you can use and bind to certain actions that occur in your Bitbucket repository. So that was actually just an example workflow. The JIRA workflow triggers are really flexible, so you can actually bind them to any transition that you have in your existing workflow. So you can actually trigger any workflow action based off any repository action. It really depends on what you want to do in your workflow. The ones I was showing before were really just an example of what's possible. So yes, absolutely, you can choose which state to transition when a branch is updated, or for example, when a pull request is merged. So the next question is, how does Bitbucket associate a pull request with an issue? Well, there's a few different ways that a pull request can be associated with an issue. Specifically, a pull request will be associated with an issue if that pull request contains a commit that references the issue key in its commit message. That means specifically if the source branch for the pull request contains a commit with the issue key in it, or if the pull request contains an issue key in its title, or if the issue key is actually in the name of the source branch. So if you're using that little create branch link from the JIRA issue page, then clicking on that will put the issue key in the branch and will absolutely make sure that your pull requests are bound correctly to your JIRA issues. All right, so our next question, how does Bitbucket handle merge conflicts? So really you'll see a Bitbucket, you see a merge conflict in the Bitbucket UI if you create a pull request where you change a file that has been modified in different ways on both the source branch and the target branch of the pull request. Now the way this is surfaced in Bitbucket is as part of the pull request process, it renders this nice diff showing the changes that you've made or the changes that have occurred on both branches. And if there's a conflict, it'll actually display little conflict markers highlighted in bright orange around the lines that are currently conflicting. Now, you can't actually resolve those conflicts via the pull request UI, but basically what's involved is pulling down that branch and then resolving those conflicts locally. And you'll actually get some commands, I believe, displayed inside the Bitbucket UI on how to do that. Then you'll push an updated commit, or a new commit rather, that has those conflicts resolved, and then you'll be able to merge the pull request via the user interface. All right. Thanks for watching, and thanks especially to everyone who submitted questions. I may try to write a blog post covering some of the questions that I didn't manage to get to this time around, so keep an eye on the Atlassian developer blog for that. If you'd like to try out JIRA and Bitbucket, hit the Try It Free link in front of you, or if you are already using JIRA and Bitbucket, check out the short YouTube video on how to integrate them. It is very short these days, thankfully. We've just shipped a raft of improvements to JIRA and Bitbucket Cloud that make the integration process very simple. Again, my name is Tim Pedersen. Thanks for watching, and please feel free to hit me up on Twitter if you have any questions about Bitbucket, Git, or any of Atlassian's developer tools. My handle is in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, and it is Cannonboy, except spelt with a K instead of a C.
That's it. If you want to try JIRA Software and or Bitbucket for free, click the Learn More button on the left. To see how to connect JIRA Software and Bitbucket, click the video at the top right of your screen. If you have additional questions you want us to answer, visit answers.atlassian.com or ping us on the social network of your choosing using #AskJIRA. As always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.